Look at these beautiful cross pendants. I made them all with one of the Artyco molds. The mold comes with 3 different models of crosses. The Artyco molds are a bit different than most molds on the market. They have a ton of detail, and that is the reason why you must use very well conditioned and soft polymer clay. So let me show you how you can get a great result using this mold. So here I have some black clay that I conditioned to perfection. It's very soft, and you saw how I pretty much shaped it a little bit to fit that cross mold, and then you can use wax paper or a cosmetic sponge to press it in and then shave the excess with your rigid blade. I am going to do 2 series, one with the black clay that I'm going to use some colored wax on, and then some oxidized. And if you haven't watched yet my tutorial about how to create the look of faux oxidized metal without having to do antiquing, I'm going to post the link up in the cards and in the video description. So pretty much that is it. The only thing that you need to be careful about is when you place the cross on your baking material, because the clay being so soft, it might switch one of the arms around. So that's why I prefer to put it directly on wax paper, so that I don't have to manipulate the cross too much. And you see I'm doing the one on the other end. I'm going to tell you something now. The one in the middle doesn't seem to be that good for clay. It's a little bit too thin. It's much better in resin, but you have to be very careful. I'm not saying that you cannot do it, but you have to be very careful not to, as I said, the clay being soft, not to get moved left and right before you get it to bake. Now let's do some faux oxidized metal, and you see I have some scrap clay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of gold, a little bit of green pearl, and a little bit of silver. And then it will be pretty much the same, except that right before taking the clay out of the mold, I'm using one of Donna Cato's texture sponges. So it will look, because the whole idea with the ones that I'm doing with the faux oxidized metal, I want them to look like cast metal, and you shall see that they look beautiful. So I'm going to use 3 different kind of waxes to show you how they look like. First is the old silver from the ArtAlchemy metallic line, and it's one of my most favorite lines because it looks so much like metal once it's hardened and buffed. So this would be the old silver. Make sure that you apply wax on the sides and on the back as well. Now on this one I'm going to use one of Premo Marketing's new molds, the redesign. And yes, I will put links in the video description where you can find all these waxes, but you can use whatever metallic wax you have, and even mica powder or acrylic paint. For this one I'm using again the metallic of ArtAlchemy, and that is rich copper. And you can see I did one of the middle, and it works just fine. Just to warn you that if you're not very comfortable with molds, you might want to avoid the middle one. The next one is aged brass, also of the metallic line. And you see I'm applying on the back and also on the sides. I did not sand because I want it to look like cast metal. And then for the last one is the German silver of Gilder's paste. And then I'm going to make sure that I let these harden really good. Now let's decorate the black ones. And as I said, these are the Premo marketing came up with 9 new colors in the metallic line. To be honest, I don't know why they placed them in the metallic line, because they look more like the antique brilliance line. But anyway, as you can see, I'm going to just play around with them. You don't have to get all of them. You don't even have to use them. You can use easily just the metallic acrylic paint to do all these designs. I just wanted to show them to you because they are absolutely fabulous, and you know that the ArtAlchemy is my most favorite wax in the world, metallic wax in the world. So I used the Indian pink, and then I used Firebird, and then I'm going to use some sweet rose. And yes, the colors are absolutely fabulous, and they have beautiful names like Peacock and old Denim and, as I said, Indian pink. They are gorgeous. And electric violet. I'm using the Peacock. And I'm just going to use all kinds of colors. I'm playing with my waxes. But as I said, you can do all this with mica powders or with acrylic paints. All the dazzling metallics of deco art would work fine. Right now I'm using what's called the mint sparkle, and that one has some gold in it too. I mean, some of these waxes are actually chameleon, iridescent. They change color depending on how you look at them and what color of background they are on. But anyway, I insisted a little bit on this spot because I know that you like to watch when I color stuff, when I play with color. But yes, we will do some other of the Artyco molds, because I know that PolyClay Play is going to expect some more. And there's another one that I definitely want to buy. There's one with all kinds of Egyptian symbols. On this other one that I am going to color, this one is with hibiscuses. The other one had a rose in the middle and then all kinds of daisies. This one has hibiscuses, so I'm going to do all the leaves with the mint sparkle, and then I'm going to do the hibiscuses with the Indian pink, and then the stamen of the hibiscus with the Firebird. That's that beautiful gold orange colored thing. All that it needs now is some buffing, and I am using a very soft cotton cloth to do that. What I wanted to say, if you haven't seen my review on the ArtAlchemy waxes, I'm going to post a link in the cards and also in the video description, because I did a quite exhaustive review also on the waxes, also on the Franco Garcia artisan powders, and there's a faux leather, you'll see. It's a very nice tutorial. But anyway, so just keep buffing really nice your crosses, both the ones that are supposed to look just like old cast metal and the ones on which you played with all kinds of colors. Of course, if you didn't use waxes, then you'll have to apply varnish if you use the acrylics or mica powders. And this is pretty much how they look like. And they are very easy to make into pendants. All you need to do is to, and be careful, because this specific model works perfectly with a loop, an eye pin, an eye screw. While the other ones, it's better to use either a pinch bail or one of those jump rings as bails, because it's not thick enough to drill a hole to put in one of those eye screws. So all that you have to do to put a pinch bail is just poke 2 little holes to give them direction for the pins, and then open it and simply put it back together. And that is pretty much all you have to do to have nice pendants that you can make for your children, for your grandchildren, for yourself, of course, for your friends, for your family. Then as you can see, they are just a beautiful. Yes, the Artyco molds work beautiful with resin as well. Only that there is a thing here as well, as the same as you have to be careful how well you condition your clay. With the resin, you have to be careful to make sure that the resin goes in all those little nooks and crannies, because you see there are many of them. So after you place your resin in the mold, I usually get, with this type of molds, I would get a toothpick and then gently pull the resin all the way in the smallest recesses of the mold. And I will show you 2 different things. If you want to color them, I would suggest that you use the casting resin, not the UV resin like I'm using here. Here I'm using the UV resin, and it's actually the Chinese UV resin. And I'm going to make a little bit of opaline aspect, and then I'm going to show you how you can obtain a frosted glass when you make things out of resin. So of course, number 1, you have to make sure that you get all the resin in all the little recesses. Then make sure that you have no air bubbles. And now let's play a little bit. So first of all, I'm going to use two flakes, two brands of flakes, the ice resin, the crystal opal, and in this specific one I'm using the Lumiere Lusters, and that's I think it's the Phoenix Opal. I'm going to post a link in the video description on them. And as you can see, I'm placing the flakes on this thin one, mostly where I have larger areas of resin, because these specific flakes will not interfere with your resin being cured. That's the problem with the UV resin. You cannot put a lot of inclusions in it because it cures with light. So if you have inclusions, those inclusions will cast a shadow on the resin that's underneath them. So the resin will not cure properly. But these specific flakes are translucent enough to allow the light to pass through them. And as you can see, I placed on the left cross, I placed some ice resin, the crystal opal flakes. And gently just mix them a little bit with a toothpick. And then on the one on the right, that's the one that I'm going to do a frosted glass aspect. And for this, I'm just using the good old diamond dust. And yeah, it's known for a while. It's a type of glitter that looks practically like ground glass. But if you put it in resin, it's going, once the resin is cured, and of course it's transparent enough to allow the resin, the UV resin, to cure properly. But once it cures, the resin will look like frosted glass. And of course, then you just need to cure your crosses in the UV lamp. And that's how they look like. As you can see, it's very easy to take them out. And we have 2 opal crosses and the frosted glass one. And they are gorgeous. And you can do exactly the same as for the clay ones. For the one that is straight, you can put an eye screw pin in. And one thing though, you might want to file the edges on the back, because you know how the UV resin kind of pulls in a little bit, so you might get some sharper edges. And an emery board or a nail file will do the trick. But you can see how pretty they look. And they would work beautifully on a delicate silver chain. And just as I said, make sure that you have any kind of sharp edge filed off. And yes, you can file resin, you can sand resin, you can buff resin, you can poke holes in resin, exactly like you do for clay. That is not a problem. I'm trying to put it on a darker background so you can see it better. And see how gorgeous it looks like. And that diamond dust gave it all kinds of little sparkles inside. Just changing the light. And as I said, it's very, very easy. Just poke a hole and then dip your eye screw in glue and then screw it in.